Hi guys, so here's the aforementioned video lecture covering the two remaining themes that we did not get to in class, and we'll start with Xenia and culture here. So we know that Xenia is hospitality. The idea here being that anyone who visited your house could be a god, they could be important. We don't know who could turn up at your house, so you were to be sort of welcoming, kind, and inviting to everyone. A bunch of examples in our text. We have the Phaeacians, right? The Phaeacians show Xenia to Odysseus when he seeks out their help. Athena is often disguised, particularly when she first visits Telemachus, so she feels the effects of Xenia as well. When Odysseus returns to Ithaca, he goes to stay with his servant Eumaeus. He's disguised as a beggar, and yet Eumaeus takes him in and is thoughtful and kind to him, shows him Xenia. And sort of on the flip side of this, an example of someone who does not practice Xenia, the Cyclops, the island of the Cyclops, they don't practice Xenia there. And here the lack of Xenia actually leads to conflict. Odysseus gets to the island of the Cyclops and expects to be treated with Xenia, but they're sort of an uncivilized land, and this creates the big conflict with the Cyclops that causes a lot of Odysseus's troubles in his journey home. The other cultural thing I want to talk about here, besides Xenia, is just the importance of the gods in ancient Greek culture. The ancient Greeks believed that the gods controlled all aspects of their life. They were constantly praying to the gods, having feasts for the gods, sacrificing food for the gods. So culturally, the gods were sort of active in every realm of their lives, and they placed a lot of importance in the gods. All right, last but not least, we have violence and conflict. So I want to start here by just saying there are lots of moments of violent detail in this text, right? For instance, the Cyclops is stabbed in the eye, and we get the gruesome details of that stabbing. So thinking about moments of violence, Homer does not hold back when it comes to gruesome, violent description. The other thing I want to just highlight here is that violence often was seen as heroic in ancient Greek culture, right? Odysseus kills the Cyclops, and that is a heroic act. So violence was seen as heroic in this culture. We haven't talked about this question much, but this is the last thing I want to sort of talk about when it comes to violence and conflict, and this is the question I have up here. Is the Odyssey a pro or anti-war text? By that I mean, is the Odyssey supporting war? Is it pro-war, or is it anti-war, showing the hardships, the struggles of war? We know that this text takes place after the Trojan War, which was a 10-year, pretty grueling war, and it talks about the way that people got home from the war. So does this text come down in favor of war or in opposition to war? And I think there's an argument to be made for either. The text certainly glorifies heroism, right? Odysseus is talked about as this really good guy. Heroism is glorified. But we also see the side that shows us the brutality of the consequences of war. There are a lot of people who have died that we meet in the underworld. There are a lot of people who have been displaced by the attempted journey home from war. So I think the text gives us kind of both sides, which makes sense if we think about the way that this text originated as an oral, traditionally oral story. These would have been Greeks who were telling these stories after the war. They would have understood that heroes were people that they would have wanted to honor, right? These people who fought valiantly, and they would have wanted to respect and honor them by glorifying their heroism, but they also would have recognized that the war was brutal for them and had really real and lasting consequences, and they would have wanted to acknowledge that as well. So you can kind of see both of those sides as represented in this text. So that is what I have for you, my friends. Happy studying. Good luck. Go get 'em. You're going to do great.